Excellent. Joining us this afternoon is none other than Matt de Boer. Now, Matt is a proud West Australian, has played for Fremantle, now over with GWS, has a really interesting story to tell us, and really looking forward to hearing from him. Also joining us is Martin Mellody, the junior school sportsmaster, and Year 12 First 18 player Konnah Holmes, all the way from Pingrup, South Australia, just come off the farm where he's been feeding sheep all morning. But Matt, thanks for joining us, mate. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having me, guys. Look forward to having a chat.
Excellent. So I'm going to throw over to Konnah to start with, and we'll just see where this takes us.
Firstly, thanks for joining us, Matt. Obviously, it's a massive honour. But you grew up in WA and attended John 23rd. Having played state 16s and 18s, was it a challenge to balance your football aspirations with schoolwork?
Yeah, good question, Konnah. Not really, to be honest. It was obviously a workload, and I certainly stayed busy, but I wouldn't say it was difficult to balance. I just made sure, obviously, you had your training times, and you couldn't move those, obviously. So I'd get home, eat some dinner, might watch 20 minutes, 30 minutes of television, and then I'd hook into my studies for at least 2-3 hours, and training 4 nights a week or whatever it was. There's some other nights that you could dedicate purely to studies as well. So I was always big on making sure I was continuing to get good grades, and that just came back to putting in the work just like anything else. So I would work really closely with my teachers, making sure I was getting the right feedback, and then just developing good study habits as well, in addition to coming home, at times tired from training, but yeah, would refuel up and then hook in.
Yeah, right. And obviously playing state 18s in the National Carnival, you got picked as being named as an All-Australian. Did you go into that year draft confident that you're going to get picked up?
I wouldn't say I was confident. I had a chat with a few clubs over at draft camp, and had a management group managing me, who still manage me today, and they said there's a few clubs that are interested, but we'll just have to wait and see what pans out on draft day. So unfortunately, I didn't get picked up, but certainly a week later, I was picked up in the rookie draft.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, which clubs did contact you?
I had conversations with Fremantle, with West Coast, Western Bulldogs, Port Adelaide over in draft camp, and a couple others. But then after I didn't get picked up, I had a few phone calls and messages from certain people saying, the rookie draft's next week. So yeah, stay confident in that regard.
So clearly, being named All-Australian, it does put you under a little bit of pressure, because people automatically go, well, this guy's been selected and hasn't been picked up. And often, those hard luck stories get mentioned in the media. These days, I think the rookie draft's a little bit quicker, whereas back in your day, it was a week, as you say, later. How did you feel during that week? And obviously, you said you're hearing a fair bit, but then what do you think the knock on your game was that meant that you waited till the rookie draft?
Yeah, it's a good question. I was always, pretty fierce competitor, and everyone recognised that. However, my skill execution, often let me down at times, and it's still an area that I'm focusing on and always trying to get better at, and being a more reliable distributor of the football. So everyone's got something that they're working on, and that was certainly mine. And as soon as I got to Fremantle, I had great staff around me, and jumped into the working with the biomechanic and working on my leg strength, and then reviewing footage as well, and where I could get better from a decision-making point of view as well.
Yeah, so no doubt hearing your name called out finally after that week was a pretty awesome feeling. Do you think you were ready to go? You said, I think fitness was probably one of your strengths, just from remembering myself. But do you think you were ready to go straight into the program when you went to the Dockers? And being a rookie list player, do you still get treated 100% like you are on the list? They give you the same opportunities, and you're treated by the other boys just the same?
Yeah, well, to your first point around fitness, I thought I was fit, but then you get to AFL and it does go another level, and that's often what I tell our young boys coming in, that you have to push yourself more than you've ever had before, and just ask 1,000 questions as well, because you're trying to upskill yourself right across the board, from game plan to strength to fitness to mental skills as well. So asking those 1,000 questions in your first year, I think is really key. So yeah, I had plenty to work on when I certainly got to the club, but wasn't treated any differently. When the ball's there to be won, we don't stop and compare draft picks. That's for sure. So I'd be hunting in to get the ball, or I'd be trying to take it to whoever to try and fight for a spot, and just continue to grow my brand as well as a competitor.
Obviously, I don't think you could have asked for a more exciting and possible nerve-wracking debut than to play in the Derby against West Coast in 2009. How was the build-up to that game?
It was really good. Yeah, it was obviously a long time ago now, but it was really, really enjoyable. I had lots of obviously messages of support from friends, from family, from teammates. Everyone happy to see me get a debut relatively early in my first year, and I was just excited. But the thing that I kept coming back to, and consistent messages from all the supporters was, enjoy it, and then just give 100% effort, and the rest will take care of itself. So had great mentors in my time at Fremantle. Matthew Pavlich, Aaron Sandilands, Luke McFarlane, to name a few, and they were pretty much all on across the messaging was the game plan. Just come in, give 100% effort, and you'll be fine.
How do you think you went in that game?
Just okay from memory. I remember I didn't get my second wind for a little while. I was like, oh, gee, I don't know if I can hack this AFL stuff. And 12 years later, I'm still here. But, it was good. I think I kicked a goal in the third quarter. And, it was a good day all around. We got the win and got the Powerade shower.
I couldn't ask for more. You went on to play 138 games for Freo. Are there a few games that stood out to you that you played in? Yeah.
The debut, obviously, my 100th game there was very memorable. But just big finals that we won, especially down in Geelong, 2013, and then back for the home preliminary final against the Sydney Swans as well. So there's some certainly big finals in there, and I'm immensely proud of, and got great relationships with players, with coaches, and everyone with my time there.
Okay, so you've often been a player that's been through the forward half or midfield and running with many of the superstars of the competition, probably particularly in your time at GWS. How do you go about preparing for playing on the best of the best?
Yeah, it's a good question. Through preparation, obviously, I try and be a jack of all, and you got to be fit. You got to be quick of mind as well, but strong to some degree, because everyone you play on's got their special attributes. So just trying to be across the board physically, in as good shape as I can be, and then mentally putting in the work. So in more recent times at the Giants, it's with Lenny Hayes, who's the midfield coach, and watching 2 to 3 games of the opponents that I'll be playing on, and try to break them down a little bit and understand how they operate and what their tendencies are, and then coming back to my game as well, and what I can bring offensively, but breaking my body work down and leading patterns and things like that as well. So fair bit of preparation, but I'm lucky to have great staff around me and coaches that I can work with.
Yeah, no, and have you ever had, 1 or 2 times, I'm sure you've had hard times out on the field, but have you ever gone, oh, this is going to be a really long day today?
Fortunately, they're all tough, obviously, and you've got to be on for every second, every minute of the game, because, it only takes 2 or 3 minutes for these superstars to rip a game apart. So, but I'm very fortunate with the team I've got around me. It's always a team-based approach. And obviously in recent times, we've been very successful as a team as well.
Yeah, no, perfect. So you're lucky enough, you got delisted by Freo, and then you got picked up by GWS, a new franchise, I suppose Freo are relatively new as well. How do you compare the two clubs? Is it like chalk and cheese, or very similar or different? And the coaches, I suppose, mainly Ross Lyon and Leon Cameron.
Yeah, it's interesting. Being a WA boy, obviously, and growing up in Western Australia, and knowing how big football is there, and being a 2-team town, and just the passion from all the fans and people that you walk past, and in the coffee shops or wherever it might be. Whereas compared to coming to Sydney, AFL is still a growing sport, which was obviously good to experience as well. But soccer and rugby and some of the other codes here are probably more well known. So it's been completely different in that regard, which has been really good to experience both. And then in terms of coaches, I've had Mark Harvey, Ross Lyon, and now Leon Cameron, and yeah, across all of them, all senior coaches have their similarities in terms of obviously structure and game plan that they'll be trying to implement. I guess if I had to differentiate them just globally, Ross is obviously very meticulous and very defensive oriented, and he's absolute genius when it comes to that. At the Giants, we certainly have really strong defensive principles, but I think we are more on the offensive side of play and how we can quickly get back into our offensive side, which I think is the coaches probably catering to the talent and the list that we've got.
Yeah. And you're busy on the field, working pretty hard, but obviously over the years you've been busy off the field, completing a commerce degree. With Beck Davis involved with the West Star Footy Academy and Alert Digital Sport, and you're also on the board of the Starlight Children's Foundation. How important do you think that is to you with your work-life balance and in going forward, I suppose?
Yeah, crucial. I think coming out of high school, I jumped straight into uni at UWA, and when I went to Fremantle, we get one day off a week, which was predominantly Monday in my early part, so I'd schedule all my shoots for then, and really enjoyed just being a student athlete, I guess, and getting down to campus and getting to mix with some uni students as well. And I think it's really good for your balance to be able to switch on and switch out of football. It can be all consuming at times, and it's such a high performance industry that it is good having other outlets. So study's always been a big part of my my routine, through high school and then into university. And after graduating, I really wanted to keep learning and growing in other areas, and get the ability to work with some some fantastic people and some fantastic companies as well. And and really passionate about the West Star Football Academy and how we can continue to grow WA football in any regard, and really give the aspiring footballers, boys and girls, just some of the skills that I'm being taught, physically and mentally at AFL level, and get to work with a really elite team there as well with Beck, Sam and Alex, as well as the coaches that are down there. So really, really passionate about that. And then also with the philanthropic side, I've got a fundamental belief that, all people, but especially athletes, should have a philanthropic side to their week. And I like to, I engage with the Starlight Foundation early days through Fremantle's alignment there, and, Purple Haze, and they do a fantastic job. And then coming over to Sydney, wanting to continue that relationship, I just actually reached out and asked if I could be on the board. I'd like to add some impact at that level and bring my my effort and networks and ideas to the board level there.
Perfect.
That's great. Just your balance as an athlete, I think, is something that our kids can aspire to, whether they're athletes or not, but just to get that life balance is critical. Now, I want to take you back to 2019, the preliminary final, probably one of the most special games in your career. I think GWS were up by around about 28 or so, three-quarter time, and human instinct, the cliched answer is, and it's all 0-0, but as a team, you must have been thinking, we're 20 minutes away from a grand final. What an unbelievable story. Then come Collingwood, I think in front of about 90,000 Collingwood fans, to within a kick. Now, what do you remember of that last quarter, mate?
Lots. I remember plenty. It was it was a great game, and obviously super proud of the boys and how we ultimately stood up. Your brain's normal, and you do look ahead at times, and you think, if we win this one, we're a grand final and we're in a good spot right now. But to be honest, after 11 plus years of AFL football, you have trained your brain to think about the next moment, particularly when you're tagging Scott Pendlebury, who was an absolute handful, and he's a superstar player. So I was just trying to stay in the zone from that regard and stick to our structures and continue to communicate with my teammates as best we could. But they were certainly coming, and once again, just super proud of how everyone stood up. One moment that definitely stands out was Shane Mumford on the goal line selling candy to Scott Pendlebury, who probably would have grabbed it and kicked a goal, and then the whole team would have been jumping on me. But obviously worked out really well, and it was a big week, for all those involved with Toby not being able to play, but then just the elation post game as well, knowing that we were going to a grand final.
Yeah, and there's famous footage of Toby Green like in the tunnel, like just literally almost can't watch. And then how do you balance that after the game between this is a highlight of my career versus we haven't won anything yet? Like that must be difficult. I assume almost everyone, probably Mumford had played in the grand final, but most hadn't.
Yeah, so I had, Heath Shaw had, Mumford had, might have been one or two others. So yeah, I think it's good to enjoy moments, to a point. Even the week before was a clutch win over Brisbane as well. So we certainly celebrated, but then you're quickly back to task, and we're in the ice baths and we're stretching and then trying to get a good night's sleep so you can build for the week ahead. So I think it's good and important to enjoy the wins and any moments, whether it's study or a drama play or or a football win, whatever it might be. Enjoy the moments and then quickly get back to work and to task on what's going to give you your best chance next week.
Yeah. Now the phenomenon of social media, you can just give things extra legs these days. But the big sound memes that went around, I've got to ask you because every kid would want me to ask you this question. I imagine the first couple you saw, it was just awesome. Then probably by Thursday or Friday, it was just doing your head in. Like, how did you and the boys react to that whole kind of scene during the week?
I think it's great, and obviously there's some clever people out there who would take to social media very quickly. And I think it was great for the Giants and the Giants brand to try and capture bigger audience wherever we can. And I like to think lots of people were supporting us for the grand final. So it was interesting. But towards the back end of the week, I told the boys to stop opening them and put it away because we're trying to concentrate. But it was great for the Giants Football Club to get that exposure.
Did you have a favourite one? Is there one that sticks out?
There's a few good Simpsons ones from memory, and my fiance particularly liked the Love Actually one, so that one got a bit of a run.
Okay, excellent. Now, last one on the grand final, that obviously a little bit of a disappointing game. How much do you talk about that going to this season, or do you just say, no, we wipe it, we forget about it? Like, what's that? Different clubs probably have different ways to deal with losing grand finals. How did GWS approach that?
Yeah, we're not going to hide away from that. It was disappointing. We didn't stand up on the day, and we all carry that with us. But at the end of the day, AFL it can be a losing industry at times. I think Moneyball says only one team can win the last game of the year, and so I guess you quickly accept that and move on as best you can and try and learn and grow from the experience. So we stuck together first and foremost. All the players stuck together and. For the next week throughout, and we were able to sort of break it down and share different thoughts and feelings on it. But then from there you just grow and learn, and I think as a result our players actually really matured, and that's why I'm so excited for this year. We had players come back to pre-season and run personal bests and come back in ripping nick, and then we've been able to tinker with the game plan based off footy and our personnel and where that's going. And we had a really good pre-season. It's the healthiest our list has ever been. And everyone wants to be part of the success as well, which I think really, catapults us forward so that, even in our showing, we won both pre-season games and then, took down Geelong in round one as well. So hopefully we can get back to, the 2020 season and continue our good form, because I'm really optimistic and there's still plenty of belief in our group.
Yeah. Konnah, you got a couple more finish with?
Yeah. We talked a fair bit at Hale about what it takes to be a team player. In your time in the league, has there been anyone that has stood out to you that's made you go like, oh, wow, he's got a mental team first mentality?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've seen plenty over my time, from at Claremont Football Club to Peel to Fremantle on the Giants. I guess a couple that stand out from Fremantle and the Giants would be Stephen Hill would be one from Fremantle. Obviously, first round draft pick, highly touted, but just an immense team player. He would do the hard things. He'd be chasing out. He'd be doing everything he could to win. That was his key metric, and you could tell that he might have given up a few personal and individual rewards at times to make sure that he was team first and doing the right thing by everyone else. So that was really great to see. And then in more recent times would be Shane Mumford. He's just a brute of a man, but does absolutely anything to win. He'd be blocking for our teammates. He'd be expelling all his energy just to try and help someone else get better. So really admire those two in particular.
And if you could take yourself back to your 17-year-old self, who was a talented footballer with aspirations of playing AFL, what would it be?
Sorry, mate, what was the question?
If you could give one bit of advice to your
Advice,
17-year-old self.
Yeah, good question. To buy stocks in Amazon. Advice, yeah, okay, good question. Probably to bring the best version of yourself to everything you do. I think early days going to certain games and whatnot, you can entertain, doubt and what happens if I don't play well and these sort of questions. I think if you prepare immensely well and you control everything you can in your preparation, the lead up, then just be comfortable and rest easy knowing that you bring your best version of yourself. Reiterate to yourself what your strengths are, really know what they are going into any game or an exam or whatever it might be. Just going in with utmost belief and confidence that you've done everything you can to prepare yourself for now, and then and go out and play with that in mind. And if something doesn't go your way, or you don't win, or you don't get the mark on your exam that you're hoping for, then just go and learn from that and quickly say, what could I have done better? Talk to your coaches, ask your parents, really get that feedback from other people to improve your preparation so that you can get back to that. And then once again, when you get back to game day, utmost belief. So I guess that's a long way to answer around prepare well and then believe in yourself when you get to game day.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt. Now, one thing Konnah probably hasn't told you, he's a mad Geelong fan. So when you were talking about round one this year, he kind of put a bit of a strange face.
Sorry, Matt.
2,000 people here at our school, staff and boys. It's only literally the headmaster and Konnah that actually go for Geelong. So we get a bit of pleasure when they go down, to be honest. So one basic question we've asked everyone, Matt, a Tuesday, and Konnor's a boarder here, so I might get Konnah, you can answer the same question. There's Pie Day here at school where all the boarders and all the staff have a range of pies. And some of the stuff we see the boarders do with the pies is pretty interesting. Like some will take the lid off, put the sauce in. Some will eat it with a spoon. Some will just eat the pastry and none of the meat. Firstly, we'll go to you, Matt. How does Matt eat it? DeVoy eat a meat pie?
Gee whiz, good question. It's actually been a long time since I've eaten a pie, to be completely honest. That sounds very impressive what some of the boys are getting up to. I'll have to give that a go next time. I think I was just a lazier approach and maybe just a bit of tomato sauce as you go approach. So yeah, I might have to look into that one. That's good advice. Thanks, guys.
Konnah, how would you eat one?
I mean, at school, I take the lid off and then eat the meat out, and then I just down the rest of it.
That's very impressive. I'll have to try that next time.
Yeah, that's disturbing, to be honest. They're not meant to be eaten. Matt, really appreciate it. We'll let you go, mate. I hope you and your family all stay safe and well over there in the short term, and then in the medium term, we can see you back out there at GWS, and all the best for the season. And there'll be a lot of kids listening here that'll be hanging on every word. So we really appreciate it, and stay safe.
Thanks, Luke. Konnah, Martin, appreciate it, guys. All the best.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.